On December 4, 1872, roughly 600 miles off the coast of Portugal, the Atlantic Ocean was cold, choppy, and vast. Aboard the British merchant ship Dei Gratia, the helmsman spotted a dark silhouette cutting erratically through the gray horizon. As the distance closed, Captain David Morehouse peered through his spyglass and felt a chill. The vessel was the Mary Celeste, a 282-ton brigantine that had departed New York 8 days before him. Her canvas sails were flapping violently in the wind. Some were torn, others loosely lashed. The helm was swinging wildly with the ocean swells. Captain Morehouse hailed the vessel. Silence. He sounded the ship's horn across the water. Nothing. Recognizing that something had gone terribly wrong, Morehouse ordered an armed boarding party into a small rowboat. They pulled through the frigid swells, grabbed the dangling ropes of the Mary Celeste, and climbed onto the wooden deck. What they stepped into was not a shipwreck. It was something far more terrifying, an undisturbed ghost ship. First Mate Oliver DeVoe drew his sidearm, expecting to find signs of a violent mutiny, a pirate raid, or the aftermath of a deadly fever. Instead, the ship was utterly, unnervingly peaceful. The vessel was completely seaworthy. There was 3.5 feet of water in the hold, a completely manageable amount for a transatlantic crossing in winter, and 2 of the ship's primary bilge pumps were in working order. DeVoe walked down the wooden stairs into the crew's quarters. In the galley, pots and pans were stowed cleanly. Over 6 months of preserved provisions, barrels of flour, cured meat, and fresh drinking water sat untouched. In the captain's personal cabin, Sarah Briggs' harmonium sat against the wall. A child's toy lay on a blanket. The family's jewelry and personal valuables were sitting out in plain sight. Not a single ounce of gold had been stolen. In the sailors' berths, dry clothing, tobacco pipes, and personal letters were left in neat lockers. Men who abandon ship in panic do not leave behind their dry clothes, their money, and their identification. Yet Captain Benjamin Briggs, his wife Sarah, their 2-year-old daughter Sophia, and all 7 seasoned sailors were gone. No blood, no signs of struggle, no fire. The only things missing from the entire vessel were the ship's single small lifeboat, the captain's chronometer, the sextant, and the navigation register. DeVoe located the ship's slate log in the cabin. The final entry was dated November 25th at 8:00 a.m., noting that the vessel had passed the island of Santa Maria in the Azores. That meant the Mary Celeste had sailed for 9 days, and nearly 400 miles across one of the roughest stretches of the Atlantic Ocean, with completely unmanned sails and no human hands on the wheel. Captain Morehouse divided his small crew, manned the ghost ship, and sailed her into the British naval port of Gibraltar to claim salvage rights. But what should have been a heroic rescue story instantly turned into a high-stakes maritime criminal trial. In Gibraltar, the Queen's proctor, Frederick Sollyflood, was convinced that a gruesome crime had taken place. He suspected that the salvage crew of the Dei Gratia had either murdered the Briggs family for prize money, or that the Mary Celeste's crew had gotten drunk on cargo, slaughtered their captain, and fled. Sollyflood ordered a ruthless forensic investigation. Divers inspected the ship's hull. Chemist Dr. J. Patron tested brown marks on the deck and a ceremonial sword found in the cabin. The results baffled the court. The marks on the deck were not blood, they were boiled linseed oil and rust. The sword had never drawn human blood. And when investigators opened the main cargo hold, they found all 1,701 wooden barrels of commercial denatured alcohol intact, securely strapped down and sealed. Only 9 barrels were empty. With zero evidence of foul play, the Admiralty Court was forced to pay the salvage award. But the question remained: why would an experienced, devout, and cautious captain abandon a sound, floating ship with his wife and toddler in the dead of winter? For 150 years, theories ran rampant, from rogue sea monsters and toxic bread mold to wild tales penned by Arthur Conan Doyle. But modern forensic science points to a terrifyingly plausible sequence of events. The 1,701 barrels in the hold contained industrial raw alcohol, stored in porous red oak casks. During the rough crossing, several casks leaked, filling the airtight, unventilated cargo hold with volatile, invisible vapors. Historian and chemist Dr. Andrea Sella proved in laboratory simulations that when alcohol vapors ignite in a confined wooden space, they create a low-temperature flash blast. A massive burst of hot air, a terrifying roar, and a sudden fireball, without scorching the wood or burning the hull. Imagine you are Captain Briggs. You are in the middle of a storm. Suddenly, a deafening explosion rattles the deck beneath your boots. A thick, suffocating cloud of alcohol fumes rushes out of the hatch. You believe the ship is seconds away from disintegrating into a floating inferno. You have only seconds to save your wife and baby daughter. Briggs orders everyone into the small yawl lifeboat. He grabs the navigation instruments but leaves everything else behind. To stay safe from the blast while remaining attached to the vessel, Briggs ties a long, thick hemp towline from the stern of the Mary Celeste to the small lifeboat, intending to trail behind until the fumes clear. Then the final tragedy struck. A sudden winter squall hit the Atlantic. The Mary Celeste, carrying massive square sails, caught a gale-force gust of wind and surged forward at full speed. The small rowboat behind it dragged violently against the heavy swells. Under the tremendous tension, the hemp towline snapped. In seconds, the Mary Celeste surged ahead into the storm, vanishing into the rain. Left behind in a tiny open rowboat without food, water, or sails, 10 souls were swallowed by the Atlantic swells, hundreds of miles from land. No trace of the lifeboat, the wreckage, or the Briggs family was ever found. The Mary Celeste sailed for another decade under a string of unlucky owners before finally being wrecked off the reefs of Haiti. Was it a sudden vapor explosion, a misread water gauge, or something we still do not understand? Let me know which theory makes the most sense to you in the comments below. If you want to uncover more forgotten files and unsolved enigmas of history, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications for Beyond Knowledge. Until next time, keep looking beyond the history books.